Hi everyone, very good evening. कैसे हो सब लोग? So just like Salsa will begin in I guess 5 to 10 minutes. So before that, I just wanted to ask, are you guys facing any issues with the installation and stuff? Like I guess we were having that videos now. That Loom video was there for Windows people, right? Git Bash. Have you guys installed that? Have you guys went through the pre-lecture content? Uh, if not, please have a look at it. It will be very helpful. Today, like we are thinking to proceed in a way that so that you can practice along. Like we first 10 minutes, we can tell you about what is going on and how we can do stuff on Git. We will do Git definitely today and Python. So if you guys do hands-on, you do that side by side, that will be great. So first we will go on teaching that stuff, and then you can go and implement for in 5 to 10 minutes. So that will help you remember that. And once you get a hands-on, then you are definitely going to remember it. No, Tanansh, I was just speaking that today we will maybe change a bit of pattern, maybe, so that you can get a hands-on experience. Like in the last class, we thought that you could just code side by side, like whatever we were doing, you could do on your computer. But last time we had some installation issues, I guess, So this time we uploaded some pre-lecture content. So I'm just requesting everyone, if someone has not seen that pre-lecture content, just go through that and set up all the things so that today's class goes smoothly, quite smoothly. Yeah, Samvid, that was a tough question. I know. So yeah, so Sahil sir is here, so he will continue now. So there's a small announcement, guys. We will starting at 8:35. Okay. Uh, okay. So that till that, if you want, you can again have a look at pre-lecture content.
Hi everyone, can you all hear me? Please react with a yes if I am audible. Okay, great. So basically, how many of you tried the commands afterwards? All of the commands that we had discussed. So just to start the session, what I want all of you to do is all of you should just in a single line type down all the commands that you have used. So let's see how many of commands you can recall. Don't revisit any notes you have made. Just what all you can recollect. Just type those commands. What all commands you can recollect in a single line separated by comma. Okay. Let's just see how many people remember the commands. Okay, so Sudarshan has given 4 commands. Ananya has given some more. Govinda, Isha, Adarsh, Rikla, Adarsh, Shonme, Vishnu. Okay, seems like Vishnu has one more command to the list. SUBLE. Vishnu, what does SUBLE does? Okay, we have after that. Okay, we have a lot of more people, it seems like. Govinda, Bilal, Rizvi, Ayan, Naman, Bridge. I'm just seeing if anyone lists out any new command. Anyone has tried any command apart from what we have discussed in the previous session? Anything you could explore on your own? Did you get time to explore any command on your own? Venkat, Sejal, Gunchan, okay. RMDIR is one command I could see somebody has listed. I think Gunjan has listed. Okay. Bridge says it's for Sublime Text. Okay, nice. Snehil, okay. Others. Fine. We have got a lot of responses. Siddharth, Vinay Kumar, Sudhir, Kostov, Shrishti Pragne. Okay, Pragne has said that he tried all the commands of ls with all the options. That's great. Vishnu says for creating a file in Sublime Text. Okay. Some of you have tried the awk command. That's great. Sort command. Awesome. So let's just stop here. Let's just stop here about this. Yes. So let me just take up a few questions, and then one proper announcement I want to make is that whenever you are asking a question in today's session, you just use the questions tab. So you can see a questions tab in your dashboard, right? There you try to ask a question, right? So if you do that, that will help us respond to your doubts in a much better way. Okay, can you all react with a yes if all of you understand that this would be better, right? All the chats would not have your doubts, right? So just ask all your questions from the questions tab that you can see. Great, so that Rahul and me, both of us, can answer them so that we do not repeat anything and so that everybody's doubts are answered. Okay. Great, 40 people have reacted with a yes. So I will just take up a few questions before we start and then we will begin. So if Rahul, you also want to answer any of them, you can also go ahead. Okay. So some of the questions are revolving around assignment problems, right? So let me just answer all of those questions. So Shonme and Naman and some of you who asked Kostu. So what we will be doing is regarding the 2 assignment problems that we gave, we will be providing you video solutions by this weekend, most probably. So but we want you to read the reference that we provided on your own, right? First of all, you have 2-3 days. You try out all these commands that we have discussed plus those in the reference, right? If you face any difficulty, ask in your groups, ask us, right? But we'll definitely provide you video solutions to that. So can you all react with a yes if that would benefit all of you, that you all will be able to appreciate that, right? It won't waste our class time in solving that problem. Okay, we can use the class time to discuss the concepts and build the intuition. Sambit, don't get distracted. The recording has been started. You do not need to worry about that. Right. So Kaustubh, Naman, and some like most of you, have I answered your questions? Right? Okay, awesome. So now there was one question by Ayan that while using curl for word link, we got the words from that site, but from other sites we are getting HTML code. Okay, Ayan, that's because that link that we provided, it was giving you a text format as your output. So the response type of that page was a text. It was not an HTML that it was responding to you. Like basically what the response was coming from that site was a text file only, right? If you see, there was a .txt at the end, if I remember correctly. That was just a file that we were fetching from that server. Ayan, does that make sense? Awesome. So now just before getting started, I would also like to know how many of you have installed Git. Can you all react with a yes? Installed both Git and Python? Okay, Sean says not Git. Fine. So what we would suggest is most of you have downloaded, installed them. We have given enough reference material, and also we shared some recorded video to you, right? So those of you who do not have it, don't worry. You can just watch the lecture. After the lecture tomorrow, when you get time, you can try out all these commands that we will be discussing later. If you face any doubts, you can ask in the Skiller chat group, right? In Ubuntu or Mac OS, most likely it would be pre-installed, both Git and Python. In Windows, there might be some issues, right? So we had shared a reference for all of that. So if you do not have it right now, then you can go back later tomorrow and do that. So just don't skip the class. Like, you can attend the class even if you do not have it, right? Just that you might not be able to run the commands along with it. Can you all react with a yes if that makes sense? Awesome. Fine. So now I think we are all good to go. So just one more question. Let me check if anything else was missing. So anybody who doesn't have a terminal, like in the previous session, some of you did not have terminal installed, like in Windows, some of you were struggling. So either WSL comes installed in Windows, or you can download Git Bash. We have shared the video in P-lecture content. You could do that after the session if you do not have it, right? Okay, so with that, we will start the session. So how many of you are in your college currently? Like, can you all react with a yes? Those who are at their college, like not from their home, they are watching from their hostels. Okay, those who are watching from their hostels, can you react with a yes from your college? Okay, so most of you are at their homes. Okay, so some students have had some doubts regarding their timings, right? So we will try to resolve that. So some students who are at their hostel, they are facing some issues with the timings. So we will try to make the timings much like, so that it's suited to almost all of you from the next session, from the next week. So these two sessions, Python 1, Python 2, today and the Friday, will be on the same times, 8:30. From the next week, we will have maybe two different batches or something like that, but we will inform you. Okay. So I hope that answers one other query of most of the students. Okay. Fine. Any other question you have before we get started? Any other question anybody has before we get started? Please ask the questions today in the questions tab. Some of you are saying you are using Anaconda. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay if you are using, but it won't be required. It's okay, Shashank, if you are using. And Python 3. Yeah, any Python 3.6 above version is fine, right? Okay. So one important announcement again, like, ask your questions using the questions tab today. Please, it's a humble request from our side. Okay. So should we all get started? Are you all ready? Can you all react with a yes if we can start the session? Some of you still reacting with a no. Oh, no. Anurag says just install Git and Python. Okay. Fine. So basically, let's now start, since all of you have reacted with a yes, right? Just let me try to share my screen. Just give me one moment. Okay. Just give me one moment. One moment, please. Okay, so let me now share my screen with all of you, and please react with the yes if the screen would be visible to all of you. Okay, I suppose it should be visible now, and I will check for any kind of issues with the screen. I suppose it's clear. It's clear to all of you, right? Okay. So let me quickly open the code editor and the terminal. So all of you, please, those who will be following along with us, you can, all of you, please open your code editors and your terminal, right? So code editor won't be required right now. When we will be starting with Python, it will be required. So I have just opened to type some brief notes there. Okay, so let me just go back to our notes. Okay, fine. So I assume the screen is clear to all of you. Okay, awesome. So now let's just get started. First of all, the first question, see, what exactly is the structure we are going through? I'll just briefly recollect. So we discussed some basic shell scripting commands. Today we'll be learning about version control. So this is one of the major focus for today's session. And then we will start with Python. Why? Because we will be doing our dev, we'll be writing our projects, we'll be building our projects in Django, right? So we'll be using the Django framework, and that is actually in Python, right? So you have to write code in Python there. Okay. So basically, in the next two sessions, we'll try to finish with Python what is required for you to start with Django, right? So we need not go into too much depth, right? We need to go only till that part where we'll be using in Django, right? So as and when we'll be using something new, I will try to tell you at that point itself, right? So let's just learn the basics in these two sessions so that we are good to go, right? Voice break, is it for all? I don't think it's for all. Okay, my screen is visible to all of you. For those whom it is not visible, please do refresh your page. Okay, awesome. So Rahul, if you could also type in the chat if it's visible to you, it would be awesome. Okay, fine. So now let's get started with today's session. My first question to you is, all of you, is why do we need version control, right? So I'll give you a very simple example. So let us say that, just give me one moment. Okay, I think there is an issue. So I have a chat editor in separate screen today. Okay, so anybody would like to answer this question? Why do we need version control exactly? For better performance improvement, Faraz says. To map improved or edit features, Vishnu says. To keep track of code, Venkat, Chinmay. Okay. Roshan says to keep track of changes. Okay, so I'll give you a very simple example. So let us say that you and your friend are playing a game of chess, right? So let's stop the chat there. So let's say that you and your friend are playing a game of chess, and what happens? Let's say you play it for 1 and 2 hours, and then you want to stop. You want to resume the game from the same time, from the same state of the board, right? So yeah, you want to resume it from then and there, but let's say you have a younger brother also, and he might spoil the board. He might remove the players from one place might shift it, right? So in that case, what is it that we would be doing, right? Any suggestions what we could do to just maintain a state of a chess board at a given time when we want to stop and resume from there later? Any ideas what you might do? Okay, Alok is the first one, and Burhanuddin Garadi. Okay. Yeah, so we got correct answers. Aniket, Ishika, Faraz. Awesome, awesome. So Sudarshan, yeah, almost all of you. Ikla says take a picture with a smiley. Okay. So basically, we can just take a screenshot, right? And then we would simply try to use that to like resume from there, from the same state, same earlier state, right? So now this is exactly what happens when we deal with large code, right? So the code, let's say you are using interview bit scalar. Can you guess like how much lines of code it might be, right? So it would be a very much huge code base. It would have like at least more than 2000 files, and those files, each file would have more than 200 lines. So it would be like 2 lakh, 3 lakh plus lines of code, right? So it's not that easy to track who has written some particular piece of line, who actually is basically creating some bugs here and there, right? We need to maintain track of each and everything, who is doing what, and also we need to have separate branches in our code. So by that, what we mean, let's say that we are rolling out some features on your dashboard, right? There are two features that are being built in parallel. So the developers would want to work on them parallelly, right? They do not want to spoil the main branch of the code that is actually deployed to your scalar servers, right? So version control also helps us to basically collaborate in an easier way, and also it helps you to like have parallel lines of basically development, right? So like if you want one of the teams is working on one feature, other team is working in another feature, so they could just create two separate copies like that. We will see what exactly that is, right, in some time. So I hope till this point it makes sense to all of you what is version control and why do we need it. It's a powerful tool to track your files, right? So I would just like powerful tool to track the code files. And it doesn't really apply to only code files. It applies to even text files, direct text files as well, right? Let's say if you delete an important code file that was actually, let's say that it was useful for you to maybe view this live lecture in the Scalar platform. Let's say if that code file by mistake gets deleted and gets committed to our production servers, so in that case like you won't be able to attend the class, right? So that's why we need to have ways to get back to one of the previous versions of our code, right? So we also need to make some checkpoint, like some of you said, where we want to roll back at some point of time if there is something happening that happens, right? So that's a very simple idea. Okay. So just give me one moment. I will just show you also like if I have covered all the points here. So I will not be directly using slides, but I'll just show you in case there is anything we miss out. Okay. So I hope till this point it makes sense to all of you. Now, how many of you know this person? The photo, can you all see the screen? Aniket, I hope it's visible. Okay. Yeah, so Faraz, Chinmay, Siddharth, absolutely. Aniket, please try refreshing your page. Kaustubh, exactly. So he's Linus Torvalds, and actually he built Linux and he also built Git, right? So Git is the version control system, one kind of version control system that we will be learning, right? So anybody who can think of anything they use in their computers in their real life that is actually a version control system? Any ideas, any examples that you have seen, you might have used? Anybody? It's not a tricky task. All of you use Google, so there are some Google services. Okay. So here only, like in this code editor, if I do Command Z, Control Z, then what happens? So if I do Command Z, Control Z, am I able to go back at some of the previous versions, right? So it's just one basic version control. It's a limited version control because it doesn't allow you to actually keep track in a more organized way. It's a very limited way. You can just do undo and redo. So it's a basic text editor with undo and redo is one such version control system. There are like some of you said window restore point, Abhishek. Yeah, that's a good example. Another example is Google Docs, right? Google Docs or Google Sheets. If you open any Google Docs or Google Sheet, there you can see that these changes were made this time ago, and the person who made these changes, you can see each and everything there, right? So if I just go back here on these slides, if I just click here, open version history, you can see these are the changes that I have made, right? So these total edits, and each edit you can see what all was changed, right? So this is just one limited form of version control, right? Okay, so I hope it makes sense to all of you. Now what we will be learning is Git and GitHub. So now one of the questions that you might come up with is, what is the difference between Git and GitHub, right? Anybody would like to answer that? What is the difference between Git and GitHub? Yes, in Chrome also, if we do Control Shift T, it will take us to the last tab. Exactly, Nitin. So till this point, are all of you with me? Anybody who is getting lost of what we are discussing? So basically, we are trying to build a conceptual foundation. Then we will start with the application part. Okay, so that says GitHub makes easy to use of Git. Okay, GitHub is a platform for VCS. Others says Snail says Git is a version control, whereas GitHub is the place where the repo is stored. Yeah, Ishika says Git is the version control. GitHub is where you host the code to collaborate. Exactly. So I think most of you have the clear vision of what is the difference between Git and GitHub. Venkat says GitHub is cloud. Srinit says cloud hosting service. Ayan says Git is technology. GitHub is interface using Git. Okay, so now I think most of you are clear about what's the difference. Let me just rephrase what all of you have mentioned. So Git is actually a version control tool, right? Built by Linus.works. Okay, so it's a version control tool, whereas GitHub is actually it's like a computer. It's like a remote computer where you can store your repositories. So now one of the term that you will come across is repo or a repository. So what exactly does this mean? It simply means a code base, right? It simply means a directory containing code files, or it could be some other text files as well, containing files, right? Let's not say code files to be more generic. Okay. So it is a remote computer where you can store, where you can keep your repository, from where all of the people who are working on this project can clone that, can take that copy of that into their own computers and use that. Does this make sense to all of you? So what's the difference between Git and GitHub? Git is the main tool that will allow us to do the tracking. GitHub is just a remote computer, or basically it's just a UI, right? If you open GitHub, you can just see the things that were stored by Git on a user interface that you can simply see in your browser, right? So GitHub is not doing the tracking. The tracking is done by Git. The tracking that in your code that will happen, version control, that the main part, that's done by Git. That's not done by GitHub. GitHub just shows that to you in a UI. It's just going to store your repositories, right? So with this context, now should we deep dive into the application part? Should we start learning these things, start into like it? Okay, most of you are reacting with a yes. That means let's get started. Anyone has any questions before we now start with using Git and GitHub? Okay, So we'll be spending around roughly next 45 to 60 minutes to learn the basics of Git and GitHub, and then we will be seeing some other things. Okay, is GitHub necessary? Do we have alternative? Yeah, there are alternatives. Others, let me just answer that. So there are alternatives. There are basically like GitLab is there. Okay, Mercurian or something like that is there. I do not know the names. There are alternatives. So just you can try exploring them. GitLab is one alternative exactly. So I'll just mark. Yeah, Bitbucket is there. Ayan says awesome, awesome, fine. So now let's just get started. So I'm using this VS Code editor and the terminal. Let me just show you the terminal. Okay, I'll just get to this directory. CD // So how do we get inside a directory? Far as you need not know what exactly is GitLab. That's not required. We will learn GitHub. Okay, both the things are not to be learned. What is to be learned is what is version control and what is Git, right? Okay, so let's just get into the folder. We will use the cd command to change our directory, right? And then let's just do ls. So this is the directory and the files that we have on this particular location, that is ScalarEdge_dev. Till this point, everyone with me, all of you, you can just do one thing now. You all can go into your terminal and make a directory. So let's just make a directory that we will be using. Let's just say that we are going to make it Python program. So we are just going to write some Python programs, and we will be just trying to understand how version control works, how Git works in this directory, and how we can then push this code to the GitHub, which is a online service, right? So let's just make this directory mkdir. Now what do we need to do? We need to go inside this directory, right? We need to go inside this directory. So we can say cd python programs. Okay. Now my question to you is, I want to simply write down programs here, and I need to have version control inside this folder. So how will Git know that I want to start tracking the files in this particular repository or in this particular directory? Yes, Ayan and Roshan, absolutely. Isha, absolutely correct. So what we will be doing is we will be initializing Git to start tracking the files, right? So we can say git init. So it will say that it has initialized the empty Git repository in this particular folder, right? So now, first of all, those of you who have Git installed, make sure you check that Git is particularly installed by doing this git ---- version. It will show you that you have a particular version of Git installed, right? Okay, everybody has initialized the repository. Anybody who faced any issue? Okay, so one more change we will be doing is, yes, Kaustubh, you can do either git bash or WSL, or if you are on Ubuntu, you can do Ubuntu. Okay. So now see, if we do a ls, can you observe something here? If we do ls -a, let's say, can you observe something here? First of all, if we had done a ls -a before, there was nothing. Yeah, exactly, Avi. Exactly, Sambit. Okay. So what happens now is we can say ls doesn't work on Windows. So basically, Ishika, are you using the git bash shell, or are you using the command prompt? CMD. Okay, so basically what you have to do, you have to actually use either a git bash or a WSL. So we had shared a reference video, so you could just do that after the session, or like if the git is working, you can start using it. Instead of ls, there would be dir command, I suppose, right, Aniket? You can use the dir command for now. Okay, Ananya is asking, how do we initialize Git? Let me just answer that question. So to initialize the repository, we simply did the command git init. What it simply does, it simply tells to Git that we now want to initialize or start tracking the files that we will have inside this repository, right? So we'll be writing some code inside this repository. We want to track who is making those changes and what exactly snapshots we will be taking, right? So all of you can observe that there is a .git directory that gets created that was not earlier, right? So this is the main folder, main directory that Git uses to store all the snapshots of your programs, of your files. So if you just go inside this, there will be a folder, objects kind of folder. Let's just see. Yeah, so there are some objects, hooks, description. You need not get into this, right? This is how Git internally works. It has some kind of objects references. We need not get inside this. Let's just first understand how it works, right? Uh, okay, awesome. So let's get back cd dot dot and let me just do a ls. So I do not have anything now, right? It's an empty repository. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you few things. Okay, before that, I just have a question to you. So like Git is going to track our files, right? So how will it maintain what kind of files have actually been captured in a snapshot, what kind of files we are still working on, and what kind of files are ready to be taken a snapshot of, right? So does it need to have some kind of segregation on the type of files? Yes or no? Yes or no? React with a yes or no. Okay, exactly, Roshan. And yeah, Isha, you are going into this command exactly. Okay, Sambit, the point here is what we are trying to understand is, let's say that if you just go to some GitHub repository, let me just go to Django GitHub. Okay, so what I am doing is I am going to a repository. Okay, let's just get here. So let's say that this is the open source Django project, right? So this project that we can see over here, it has some code here. This is the repository that you can see on GitHub, right? It's simply uploaded to GitHub, right? So now this is the uh, files that are actually being run on a production server, right? So this Django project, if you see, this is actually the final version that's currently being run, right? But if some developer is working on it, he will be making some of his own changes, right? So if some developer is working, they will be making some of their own changes inside this, right? Does that make sense? So now let's say I create a file here. So it will be clear in just a moment. Let's say I create a file here, my Python program one. Let's say I make a hello world program.py. So it's our first Python program, right? Now this repository is just inside our local server. It's okay. I guess you are going very fast, sir. Let me try to be a little slow. So see, anybody has any questions till this point? No. Okay. So what we will be doing is after a few commands, we will be giving you a short time to try those commands. So what we will suggest is just don't try the command as we are typing. So first understand, then try the command on your PC, right? And if you have any doubts, then ask. So let's do it like this. First 5-10 minutes, you just focus on what I'm saying, right? What exactly we are discussing. Then you try it. And then if there is any doubt, you ask. So does that make sense? Okay, absolutely, absolutely. We'll go a little slow. Just we'll try to make sure you all are on the same page. Okay. So till this point, what I have done is I have created a hello world.py. Now, what this master is, you need not understand it right away. We'll come to it. So till this point, we have just created a repository and we have just started the Git project. So now what I'm going to do is just to test your understanding, I will launch a short quiz. So just to see how many of you are active at the point. Okay, so we have 70 people. Come on, everybody else. So we have 40 people who are not answering right away. So it's a very simple quiz we have launched just to check if you are if you are attentive in the session. So if you have any doubts, please don't hesitate. So Rahul will try to answer your doubts in chat in the side by side mode, right? So if anybody is stuck at any point, we will try to resolve them alongside, right? And make sure you first listen and then try the command. Okay. So just let me do one thing. Yeah. Okay. So now the next command that we are going to learn, it will be clear in some time. Just take some time. So I'll first type the command and then we'll discuss what exactly it is. So let's say I do git status. So this actually tells us on what branch we are. It will be clear in a moment if it's not clear right away. What exactly is a commit? It will be clear in just a while, right? So if I tell you exactly what commit is, it's just a snapshot. It's a snapshot as we discussed in the chess board game, right? Okay. And now it shows you there are some files that are not tracked, right? These files are created, but they are not tracked, right? So now we want to actually share our code to the public. We want to, let's say, host this project on GitHub of our Python programs. So we would want to take a snapshot after we have tracked this file, after we have added this file, right? Exactly, exactly. So now, if I show you, if I just do one more command, it's saying that nothing added to commit, but untracked files are present. Use git add to track. So I will just do one more command, git add, and then I will add the file name. Let's say I want to track this file, and then let's do one more time git status. So now it says that these are the changes to be committed, right? So there is a new file that we have created, helloworld.py. We just want to commit this file now. We have tracked this file. So now can you notice this state and this state? So state 1 and state 2 are two different states, right? All of you, do you agree that these are two different states? Okay. Now what exactly is the distinction between them? So I will just show you a slight picture. Okay. So basically just give me one moment and I will show you a slide picture. Okay. So now see, Git is actually nothing but it's like a desk. So it's like a programmer's desk. The working directory is where you are writing your code. So like I am working on this folder, Python program. So this is our working directory, right? This is point number 1. Point number 2, there is a staging area. So if you are writing code, it's not clear, it's not sure like in one go you will finish all the features that you need to develop, right? You will be building them step by step. So you will be making some rough drafts that actually are called as that are put in the staging area. So now see, when we have done a git add, what happens? This hello world file, the state 1 was actually a working directory where we did not want to track this file. Now once we have done a git add, it gets into the staging area. So now what staging area is, it's a draft. Now we want to finally push this, we want to finally make a snapshot here. So we want to make it go to the repository. Repository is the final draft in the filing cabinet. So once it gets into the repository, it's ready to be deployed or like ready to be put to the server, that is GitHub in our case, right? So this was the first status where it was in the working directory. Now we have once we have done git add, we move it from working directory to the staging area, right? And now there is one more command. Once we run that, it will go from the staging area to the repository, right? So let me show you one more picture. So this is the working directory. Then we have the staging area. Then we have the repository. Just make sure you first of all know that there are these three distinctions. And then once we run this command, one more command, it will be clear in a short while. So once we do git add, it goes from the working directory to the staging area. Now once we then do a git commit, it finally a snapshot of that particular piece of code is taken at that particular time. No, Anurag, we are not at the push part right away. We are first discussing how to commit changes, how to basically have some snapshots, right? Okay. So just one more command, and then let's just understand everything once again. So I will just do git commit. So then what happens is it will say that please enter the commit message for your changes. Lines starting with hash will be ignored. So all these hashes are comments, and basically this is the change to be committed. We want to add this file. We want to take a snapshot of this file at this particular point. So then what I can say, I just need to provide the commit message. So let's just say I want to say add hello world program. Okay, so now actually this editor that has opened up for me is a Vim editor. Once you do git commit, you might see some other editor based on your initial configuration that was set, right? So in my case, I will just save this by pressing escape, W and Q. So if that doesn't make sense, it's okay. You might open it without using Vim. So just one more step I will say. Instead of first doing git commit and then entering the message, what you can do, you can say git commit -m, and then you can say that add hello world program. Now what this will do, it will do the same thing, just that you won't have to go inside the text editor and give the commit message. So basically for every snapshot we take, we want to know what that snapshot was for, right? So for example, here it's for adding a hello world program, we want to take a snapshot. So you can just provide the message after using -m command. Okay, and then let's now do the git status. So now it says that there is nothing to commit. Okay, so we have gone through 3 stages. I will repeat everything in a while. If it doesn't make sense in first go, I know that it's difficult. So I will repeat the things, and just please bear with me for a few minutes so that you understand the flow, and then we can analyze each and every step. Okay. So Brahm Teja says, what does commit means? Okay, I will come to that. So first of all, let me just open my code editor. Okay. Fine. Some of you might be facing some issues while doing a git commit. I understand that. So for that, what actually you have to do, you have to configure your name and email. So I will just take that doubt, Athar, in a few moments. Okay. So everybody don't try the command right now. Please only listen at this point. Please only listen. So can you all react with a yes if you need me to go over all this just once again, all these commands and what exactly they are doing? Okay, fine. Okay, Pragna is asking a good question. Let's take that for a while. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to start from the step 1. The step 1 was we initialized a repository, right? Now it has nothing on our repository. We just created a new file, helloworld.py. Please pay attention at this point. We created a new file. Now we wanted to simply take a snapshot of this file. You remember the chess game, we wanted to take a snapshot. So that commit is nothing but a snapshot. Okay. Now to reach to that commit stage, snapshot of our code files. So to reach to the commit stage, there are few more stages that we need to go through. Okay. So first is, how will Git know which files are to be taken, which files are to be considered in this snapshot, right? Okay. So for that purpose, we need to tell Git that this is the file that we want to track. So that is why we first create some files that we want to track, right? Ultimately, we'll have to write some code. Then we do git add and the file name. So this simply starts a tracking, simply moves it from our working directory, that is from where we started, from our working directory to a staging area, right? So if you go to this picture, working directory is where you are writing. So from there, it will take it to a staging area where it has become a rough draft. It has become a draft. Now it is almost ready to be committed, almost ready for the snapshot to be taken. Okay. So the scenario is, first you maybe create some file. Okay. Then you simply move it to the staging area. So the staging area is nothing, just you are keeping it separately so that you just want to next time take a snapshot of that, right? You are not taking the snapshot, you are simply moving it to the staging area where actually it is almost ready to be to be committed or the snapshot to be taken. Okay. Now, if there are any further changes you do in middle, then you again have to remove it to the staging area. Now, once it's ready, so then you can simply commit. Okay, so commit it or take the snapshot. So then it permanently resides in your repository. Then it's a final draft in the filing cabinet. Okay. So I hope now at least the three steps are clear. At least the three steps are clear what we are doing. Okay. It seems if there is any question, please do ask. So the staging area just contains the information of what is to be committed, what files we need to move to a repository, right? So like if you create tens of thousands of files in your folder, it's not necessary that all of those files are necessary, right? So that's why you have to tell Git in your current commit what file should go, right? Yeah, Pratik, exactly. That's a very good question. So Pratik is asking, do we need to take it every time to the staging area? Exactly, Pratik. Why? Because you want to know what is to be committed, right? You want to know what files you need to actually take a snapshot of. What is the code that you want to add in your repository at that time, right? So like let's say that you are building a website that has a header and that has a footer and the main page and a footer, right? So now let us say that first of all you want to create the header of your site, right? And you have also started making some files for the main page, like the main content. So then would you want to segregate it into three features? So in your header commit, let's say you just want to have those files which were relevant to the header. You don't want to send any extra files, right? In that particular commit so that it is easier to track, right? So I will take it in a different way. I will give you one more example. So how many of you maintain a daily journal, or like have any one of you tried to maintain a daily journal? Like you just write down what all is your tasks for today that you are going to do, or like what all you want to, your learning goals for today, or like your fitness goals, anything like you maintain, and then what all you achieved in the day, what all you achieved out of your goals, right? So basically in that what you have some particular information that is relevant to only that day, right? It might not be relevant to uh, day 10th day after today, right? So for every commit, understand every commit like one day in your journal, right? So it's actually containing information of what is actually to be done today, right? Can you relate it to this point? And it needs to have a heading. Let's say that today you want to focus on, let us say you want to focus on learning Git. So this is actually a heading for today, right? So this heading is nothing but it gets converted to a commit message. So I know I'm going a little slow. Just I want to make sure that you understand the concept. You understand why it is happening, not just how we can write the command. Okay, awesome. So if that makes sense, now you see that the git add command, it takes it from the working directory to the staging area. Now it's ready to be committed. So then you just do the git commit. It will take it in your repository. Okay. So now all of you, please try to write down these commands, and please try to uh, ask any doubts that you have. If anything is not clear still, we will repeat it again till it is clear. Okay. So before committing, do we need to add? Exactly, Sudarshan, exactly. You need to add every time before you need to commit. So you need to have some goals, right? You need to have some files that you want to actually store. Okay. So now commit is actually the snapshot. So that is actually the commit. So all of you take few minutes to try these commands: git status, git add, and git commit. Git commit, and this -m use allows you to give a message for your commit, right? So you can also think it in this term. Let's say I ask you what you did 10 days back, what you did 2 days back, what you did 5 weeks back. Will you remember it? No. That's why you need to maintain this daily journal, right? So basically you want to track your activities. So in that you will have day by day activities, right? So you can go back to any day. So likewise you want to have some particular message for your commit, right? In this general case, it could be just your date on which you are doing something. Okay. So that's why we need to associate a message so that it becomes clear to someone who is reading your code what exactly these changes were, right? Yes, Pratik, I'm just taking how to get out of the commit window. So can you please tell which editor you are into? Yeah, if you are in Vim, you can do :wq. Exactly, Kunjan. Git commit asking for config. Exactly. So now some of you are facing this issue while doing a git commit. You are getting a issue that you need to set some configuration, right? Adarsh, we will come to that in a moment. Okay, Karishma is asking what does git status do? We'll take that once again. Okay, Vinay Kumar has a good question. Okay, so Vinay, before moving it to the before committing it, you want to know what you want to commit, right? So what is this file that you want to commit, right? What are the files that actually you want to take the snapshot of? So that is why you need to add those files. Okay, I hope, Vinay, that answers your question. Yeah. So I will just take your doubts one moment. Some of your doubts Rahul might be taking parallelly. So first I will answer this Athav's question that please tell me who you are. Run git config global user.email. Okay. So some of you are doing git commit and you are getting a message that please tell me who you are. Okay. So what you can do is, this is the error that some of you are getting. So you need to simply configure your username and your email. So I will just open a new terminal, right? So that I can come back to it. Just give me one moment. Athav and so many of you have the same doubt. I'm answering it. And Rahul, if you can also send the command in the chat for configuring, it would be great for all of them. So what we can do is we can simply say git config user.name, and here you can specify your name. Okay. So once you do this, it simply will set your username. The git will know that who you are. Okay. Because once you want to make a snapshot, you also want to track who is making this change, right? So you want to make sure that this commit should contain the information who is actually making the change, right? So then only if there is some bug that comes after 2 years of when you have created this application, then who should be blamed for this, right? Okay. So that's why you need to set your username. That's how you can do it. I will just not run this command. All of you please try, and after you have done this, you can see that your name is set. Okay. And the second is for setting the email. So for that, you can say git config user.email. Here you can provide your email ID, right? So I will just skip this, and once it's set, you can simply see git config user.email. You will be able to see your email. Okay. Is everything clear till this point? So now, Athak, all of you, will you be able to write down this commit? Git commit will be working for all of you. Please try again and let me know if it doesn't work. Bridge, it should not be authentication issue. Okay, username of GitHub. We are not doing git push right away. So all of you who are moving to the next step, please do not go there. You can do global. So some of you are asking, can we do global? You can do global. Yeah, absolutely. You can also pass this global option so that this username and email, this is not your username. There is a difference between username and the user.name. So this user.name is not your GitHub username. It's your actual name, right? So basically, I'll just repeat this statement. So these two commands are used to simply configure, tell to Git that who is making this change, right? Who will be writing this, taking this snapshot of the code. Okay. So just all of you, please try these commands. So you can put this flag global and then give the. Okay. So I'll take a pause. If anyone has any queries, I will try to resolve them. If some of them are not resolved still. Yeah, it can be, it should be the same as GitHub email. So config global Isha is not, it's not the same. There is a difference. This will configure only for the current folder where you are working. This will configure it for your entire machine. So we would recommend you configure it for your entire machine. Global means for all of your PC. Okay, some of you are saying how to exit from the commit window in VS Code. I'm in VS Code. Just save the window, like save the commit message file. So if you are doing a git commit and you are getting to a new editor, just save it and close it. Just close it. Can you please type what errors you are getting? So Rahul will be able to help. How I'll be just going through some of your questions. Some of them I'll be answering later. So Naman, we have answered how to get out of the commit window. Just save it and close it. Give the message, save it and close it. Okay. Okay, Pragya, I think that answers your question as well. Some of you have upvoted how to cancel a commit. We'll get to that in some time. You need to give a space after the name. Ananya, you need to give a space after the name. And you need to be inside a directory. Okay. So basically, those of you who are using the git config command, make sure that you are inside your directory in which the git is initialized. Or you can do global. In that case, I think that won't be required. Okay. So I think that answers your question, Ananya. I am using this command git status. Okay, so I'll just launch a short quiz, and that quiz will summarize what we have learned till now. So I have launched a short quiz. Those of you who are done with the steps, you can please answer the quiz. Others also, please answer it, and then you can try the commands once yourself again. Pragnya, git config is supposed to be used before git commit. It is supposed to be used before git commit. Otherwise, it might not allow you. Rahul, make sure that you have initialized your GitHub repository. Make sure that you have done a git init. Karthik, this is not an error. So Karthik, this is not an error. So this is actually showing you something like this: nothing added to commit but untracked files present, right? So Karthik, what you need to do is you need to do a git add, right? So basically, before doing a commit, you need to do a git add. That's what our whole story has been revolving around till now. Okay. So I think most of your queries are answered. So for nano people, Control O, Control X, right? Right, Venkat. Thanks, Venkat. Sonma, this simply means that we have no changes in our working directory. So this simply means that our current working tree is like, this simply means we are all set. Like there is nothing to be committed. The working directory has no new code, no other code file that we want to write. Okay. So the working directory has nothing new. It's the same as our final repository. Okay. So I hope till this point, all of you are clear with each of these steps. Actually, you have created a directory, it seems. Karthik, it seems you might have created a directory. helloworld.py is supposed to be a file. Please do check once. And Rahul, you can just answer him in the DM. Okay. Fine. So just one more quiz before we start learning something new. So now this is a very simple quiz. Now I do not want anyone to answer this incorrectly. So if there is anybody who answers it incorrectly, like that means you're not clear with what we have discussed till now. Okay. 70 people have answered. Okay. It seems like few people are not answering that. That's not good. Okay, so are you all ready to be start with the next few set of commands? So those of you who have executed till this point, please do react with a yes. Okay, all clear till this point. So Atharv, I will just answer once again. See what happens. See, once you do a git commit, let me just go back here. So I will just clear this. Okay, so let's see. Now what I'm going to do is see this hello world file now is committed. Okay, so just pay attention here and all your doubts will be resolved. So now what I will do, I will just open this file. Let's say I open this in my VS Code only. I open Python programs hello world.py. Let's say I just do print hello world. Okay, so this will be our first Python program, print hello world. Just like you have cout in C++, right? and you have system.out.println in Java, and here you pass the string, right? Similarly, you have print statement. That's very simple. So Python will be one of the most simplest languages that you will be learning, right? Nothing to worry about. So let's just make this change, and now now let us try to do git status. Okay, so git status will tell us whether there is anything that have changed from the current snapshot that we have of our code and from what we have in our working directory. Okay, so now can all of you see that there is this message, there is this file that has been modified, please do git add to update what will be committed. Okay, so it's suggesting us that please add this file to staging so that you can commit it. Okay, so now what we will do, we will follow the same step. We have added some code. We either create or update an existing code file. Okay, most of the times we all also be working with existing files. So what we can simply do, we can simply say git add hello world.py. Now if you do git status, can all of you type in the chat what you are going to get? Govinda, I will answer that in a moment. Please ask questions, all of you, in the questions tab only. Okay, Shonma and Siddharth are only answering. So let's do git status. Yara Babu Mohammed, I don't know, your name is so long. Changes to be committed, Pragya. Exactly. So you'll see that this file now is in the staging area. Where has it moved? It has moved from the working directory where we were writing the code to the staging area. Now it's ready to be committed. Changes to be committed. So we have taken the second step, that we have moved it to the staging area. Now we just need to do a git commit. Okay. So what we can say now is git commit. And now see, some of you were getting a issue that when you were doing the git commit, you are going to a separate text editor to find to give the commit message, right? So for every commit you need to specify what the main purpose of that was, right? So for example, here we have added a print statement, right? So what should be our commit message? It could be something like add print statement, it could be anything, but it has to be descriptive. So make sure that your commit messages are, this is one of the golden rules. When you will start web development, when you will go into any company, write code, make sure that you write commit messages that are descriptive, so that anybody who is reading your code, anybody will be able to understand what changes you did in a particular commit, why you did it. He will be able to understand it. In the message, you need not tell why you are changing it. You just tell what you are doing in a short line. It could be something like add header. It could be something like update the content. You need not specify the file name. Why? Because the file name will automatically be stored in the history of Git. Yeah, something that we would remember in future, because you do not know what you did 10 days back, what you did 100 days back. You do not remember it precisely. But Git will maintain that information once you do the commit. It's so powerful, it tracks each and everything, but we have to make some commits that are the snapshots. So we can say git commit, and I will do -m so that I would pass the message, and let's say that add hello world print statement. Okay, is that a good statement, good commit message? React with a yes, all of you, if that is. Yes, Siddharth, you can, but we'll be having commands in the terminal mostly. I think it's a good commit message. Add hello world print statement. It's descriptive. It's not that short, right? So let's just say add print statement. Let's just say add print statement. That should be good enough. We need not say hello world. Okay. Like there are conflicts around this. Like some of you might have different ideas on this, so that's okay. Let's just do it. Okay, so now all our commits are done. Now, how do we see the history? So the main point is we wanted to maintain a kind of journal. So we wanted to maintain history. The next question is, how do we see the history? Okay. So Venkat, you are first to go. Okay. Okay, Ayan. Looks like Venkat and Ayan already knew Git. Okay. So Atharv, are all your doubts cleared? No, Isha, we are not going to do this. We want to maintain the history. So till this point, I hope all of you are clear. So if anybody has any doubts, please ask, right? So now what we want to do is maintain the history. So for that, there is a command git log. It will show us what changes were happened when and what was actually the change made. So once you do git log and press enter, so let me do it once again. I'll do git log. Let's not do the push part. Just wait for that, everybody. Because while pushing, we need to have a remote server where we'll be pushing our changes. We need to have a GitHub repository. So let's do git log. So it tells us with commit, it's telling us something else. Do you all know what it is? It gives us something else with commit message, and it tells who made this change and what was this change, what was this commit message, right? Code hash id commit id. So what is it exactly? What do you all say? Unique. So it's a hash. It's a hash of your files. So somehow it actually, whatever changes you made or whatever files you have, it there is a hash that is computed on this. Okay. So after that, we simply did git log. And now what we are trying to see is what exactly is our history of our project, right? Yeah, so this is hash generated based on the content of the files. If you do not know what a hash is, it's okay for now. I know some students might not have covered this in their classes yet. That's okay. So this is a SHA-1 hash. If some of you know the name, that's okay if you do not. So basically there is some algorithm that is run and that computes the commit message. So that, why is it required? It is required because if we want to see history for any particular commit message, we need to know this commit ID, right? This is a unique ID for a commit message. You can think of it that way. Okay. So just like in your daily journal, every day has a unique date, right? Here, every commit has a unique message, has a unique hash. That is this SHA-1 hash. Okay. There could be other variants of this. Okay. Yeah, that's just fine. Exactly. Will come to that. Okay. Now, how do you get out of this log? Anybody? What will you press? Costo, we need not get into this detail. They are stored in the .git folder. Let's not get into that. Yeah, we'll press a Q. So which command gave us the same output? Do you remember any command that we discussed in the previous session that gave us the same output? Exactly, Chinmay. It's the less command. So we can simply say less of any file. It also gives us something like this. Okay. So now let's just see the log message. Yeah. Not. Yeah, Vishnu. That also makes sense. Okay. So now that we know what is a commit message, what is the ID, one more thing, this also helps us actually identify whether there is somebody who actually uh, broke into this structure and made any changes. Like if let's say that some hacker tries to maybe make some changes into your code unknowingly so that they can break something. So this commit message will can be recomputed based on the files at that particular time, right? So then we can verify whether there is some kind of security flow that has happened or not, right? This is also helpful in that. I'll not get into it, like that's not I think not would not be clear at this point, so that's okay. Devansh, till now we have just discussed one more new command, that is the git log command. Okay. So we have till now discussed these commands. I will just repeat. We have discussed git init, git status, git add, git commit, and then we discussed the git log command. One more thing I will show you. I will show you one more interesting version of git log. Let's say you want to have the log in a concise manner. So in that case, what you can see, git log one line. So then it will show you just the first 7 characters of your commit message, of your commit hash, and then the commit message, right? It does not show you additional information like who made this change, etc., etc. There is one more variant, that is git log minus p. It is more detailed, so you can just take a note of it and try to see what exactly is happening. It also shows you with the commit message what file was changed and what was the change, right? So basically, once you have the start making commits, once you start doing all this, so then what happens is you actually are able to see which file was changed by whom, right? So if you just have a VS Code extension into your GitHub extension in your VS Code, then you will also be able to see in your project who made a particular change. So like here it's showing me you made this change this time ago. So this was your commit message. So now Git will track all the things for us. So I hope you at least have a basic idea of how to do the things. Anybody who is not clear with all these steps till this point? Okay, it seems like most of you are clear. Yeah, it was not online, Ayan, it was not online. If we do git log online, it will say fatal unrecognized argument. You need to do git log one line. So just make sure you do not make any typo. Git will prompt you. Okay, so just give me one moment. Till then, all of you please try the git log command. And how can we see what changes are done in the code? Exactly, Aniket. So we are coming to that. There is a git extension. So till this point, what we have done is we have just uh, made some commits. Okay. Now, basically, there is another command git diff. So basically, git diff command, what happens? You want to, let's say, compare two versions. Okay. So then you can actually do git diff. So there is one more command. Let's add it to a tool. Add it to a tool base. So what we are going to do is, let's say I'm going to make some change here. Let's say I just make some change here. Now what I'm going to do is, after print statement, let's say we want to learn mathematical operators. So I would just say I make a variable a equal to 3 plus 4, b equal to 3 minus 4, c equal to 3 mod 4, d equal to 3 by 4. And let's say that we just want to print a, b, c, d all separated by commas, all separated by spaces. So we can take comma over here. Okay. So in Python, you need not give the types like int, char, float, whatever. So Python is actually dynamically typed. You did not provide the types. So side by side, we are also learning some bit of Python. Okay. So now once you do this, once you make this change, now let's try to do git status. It will show us that some changes have been made, right? So it's not into staging yet. Now what we want to do is we want to see what is the change. So you can do git diff. So git diff, what it will do for us is, it will tell us what all changes have been made till this point. So can you see that we have added all these lines? So it will show a plus for all of these. Now, why does it show a plus for the first line? Anyone? Why does it show a plus here? Because actually what we did earlier, there was no new line character here. Now we have added a new line character also. So that's why Git will treat it like it has deleted one line and added another line, since both these lines are different, right? It compares lines by lines. It do not compare character by character. It compares lines by lines. Okay, I will just repeat this part again. So what git diff command is doing for us, it's simply telling us what's the difference between our previous version, the last commit that we made, and our current working directory. Okay, if I show you with this picture, so git diff simply compares our staging area to our working directory. Okay, so it simply compares the staging area to our working directory. In our staging area we have made some changes, right? So this file is tracked, we do not have added it, right? So if I just do one more thing, git diff state, okay, that case it gives me nothing. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, it compares the staging to the repository. It compares the working directory to the staging area. So what git diff is doing for us, it's simply comparing what changes have we made before our last commit, right? Does that make sense to all of you? Can you all react with a yes if that makes sense? So our previous commit, we were just having this line, and now we have added all these lines, right? Okay. Just forget the diagram we saw earlier. Okay. Now, this variant of git diff where we do staged, it shows the difference between the staging area and the commit that was there in the last part, the main repository. Okay. It simply compares staging to the repository. And git diff was comparing the working area to the repository. Okay, so there is a slight issue in this diagram. It was comparing working area to the main repository, the last change you made. So till this point we have learned some very basic commands. Okay, anybody has any questions before we continue? So Aniket, I think what changes are done in the command, in the code, your question now is answered. By the git diff command, we can see what changes have been done before the last commit. You can also compare any two commits. So let's not get into that level detail. We won't be using it so often, right? So I'll just tell you those things that you will be using even when you start doing a software developer. Like if you start becoming you become a software developer, and then what commands you usually use in a company. So I will tell you what commands I usually use here. So I generally have to do git status most of the times, git add, git commit, and then the next command that we do is git push. Generally, apart from this, you won't be using anything else because these VS Code and all these editors today come with this git extensions. They can actually show you everything, right? So like if you see this VS Code has this cool extension, it will show you what changes are there with this green part. Okay. So mostly you will be working with these 4 commands, right? So these commands, log and diff, that we have discussed, they are just for your knowledge. You won't be using them too often. Okay. Ayan has a lot of questions. We'll try to answer them one by one. Isha, I did not get your question. Plus in git, if it was just meaning that we have added this line. So minus means removal of a line, plus means addition of a line. Atharv is asking, why is it that hello world file not opening if we open it explicitly from our folder? Atharv, it should open for you. Abhijit, try to explore that once, and if you do not get it, please ask. So try to explore and also tell us in your groups, in your Scalar chat, maybe campus group or any of the groups you have on Scalar chat. Okay. Just try to explore once that. Fine. So now the next command that we are going to learn is, there are some things that are not relevant. So you now know the basics of the git commands. Now the next few things we are going to see is how do we actually create a repository on GitHub and how do we push our changes there. Okay. So let's now all go to GitHub site. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to GitHub. Okay. And let's just go to create a new repository. So we simply want to push our current changes that we have. Let me first make this last commit. Okay. And let's also try to run this code by python 3 hello world.py. It runs perfectly well. Let's say that I will just add this file, git add, and I will do git commit -m, add some math operators. Okay. And then I will I now want to push all these files that I have committed to my GitHub repository. So now I want to have a copy of my repository, local repository on GitHub. Okay. So are you all ready, excited? You all have made your first few commits. Now we are going to push it to GitHub. Okay. So all of you, please do create a repository. So let's just go over it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say Python underscore programs. Just going to give a sample name. It could be any name. You might not provide any description. Let's all keep our repositories public. Okay. And what all this is, we will learn with time. Okay. Sorry. What a readme file is, what a git ignore is, we will learn this while we'll be building our project. Okay. Do not worry about it at this point. So let's just click create repository. Okay. So now once we have created this repository, what we want to do is we want to push our current code that we have. We just have one single file, helloworld.py. We want to push it to GitHub server. All of you, can you react with yes if you have created this repository? Just take a minute. Take a minute. Those of you who have done it, I will launch a quiz for you. Unfortunately, I do not have any quizzes, it seems. BJ, it's not online, it's one line. Most of you make this mistake. There are some pending questions, we'll answer them. Yes, Naman, we are coming to that in a moment. Naman, we are coming to that. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. I will be back. Till then, all of you, please create the repository. Okay. Fine. So, should we all resume? All of you, can you react with a yes if you are done with creating the repository? Okay, it seems all of you are done. Only 23 yeses. Okay. So now what we will be doing is we will be pushing our code to GitHub. So how do we do this? So we have to first create a repository, right? And then we want to push this. So let's see how exactly that happens. Okay. So first of all, a step has to be, we have created this repository. Now there could have been a case where you have been cloning a repository, right? We are currently not cloning a repository, that is making a copy of a existing repository on your machine. So let's say you want to work on Django, you want to basically contribute to Django, you want to contribute to this open source project. So then you will simply clone this. Okay, you will just take this URL and clone, use the git clone command. That we are not doing this right at this point, right? We will not be doing the fork also. Okay, what we want to do, we already have a repository, we want to match our current directories code that we have to the GitHub repository, right? We want to push this particular code that is on our machine to the GitHub server, okay, to the GitHub repository. So both these repositories, we need to have a one-to-one mapping to them, right? Does that make sense at this point? This one-to-one part is not that correct, but I'm just saying it because we want both of them to be in the same synchronization. Okay, it's not clear. Okay. So I'll just repeat. Okay. See, what we want to do is we just want to create the current code that we have. We just want to push this existing code that we have, this hello world.py, this Python programs folder repository. Can you all not see my code editor? Okay, seems like there's an issue. Just give me one moment. Okay, I hope you will now be able to see my screen. Okay, so it seems like we do not have Rahul currently. Okay, no issues, so that's fine. So we just have this repository set up. Okay, we just want to push an existing repository from the command line. So we have created a repository on our local machine. We want to push this to GitHub. Okay, so this git push command, what it does, it's nothing but it's simply pushing your local changes to the GitHub server, or it could be some other server. It could be Bitbucket, it could be GitLab, it could be any other GitHub server's repository, to a repository on GitHub server. Okay, now what we want to do is we Sambit is saying voice is breaking. Sambit, can you hear me now? Okay, I'll just repeat what I'm saying, but with applying this thing. So what we want to do, we want to simply push these commits, all these commits that we have, that you can see all this history, the current repository as it is, to the online version, okay, to this GitHub repository. So first of all, can you all tell me, if we want to send something from our local machine to a server, what should our machine know? Anything that our machine should know about that server? Right, we need the address where we need to send it, right? Exactly. So we want to have some mechanism to set the address of where exactly we want to send this code to. Okay. So how can we do that? That GitHub is telling us you need to add a remote. So remote is like a remote server. You need to add a remote server. You need to give it some name. Currently the name is origin, right? And then you need to provide this URL. So all of you, those who have created this repository, you can just copy this line, right? And just paste it in your editor. Okay. All of you, please do this. So it will simply tell you where you need to push your code. Okay. Now let's do the next step. So the next step is very simple now. Just forget about this git branch. This git branch is not required right now. We will deal into it more detail when it will be needed. in our main Django sessions. Okay. So first step is clear. Now we want to push this. So if I just do git push, so then let's see what happens. So what can you observe here? Yes, Anurag, that will happen. It's saying the current branch master has no upstream branch. To push the current branch and set the remote as upstream, use this. So now what exactly is it telling us? That there is no branch on this online GitHub repository, right? So this master is actually one branch that we have, right? Our code could have multiple branches. So if you just go to maybe Django project, you could see that there are multiple branches here. Here there is master and 3.2. Currently there are only two. Let's say all branches. Okay, currently only two. Let me go to some of their other repositories. Let's say that I go to their Django framework only. You see that there are 25 branches. Each of these branches is related to some kind of version, right? So if you use Android, it has so many versions, right? So for each version, there will be some code, right? Some different code, some new version has some new features, right? So that's where the concept of branches come. So we need a branch. So that's why it's telling us to set some branch. So let's set this up master branch in the origin. So the origin is the server, right? So let's just run this command and see what happens. If the last point is not clear to you, that's okay. It will be clear when we will be using this so often in our next sessions. Okay. Now you see that some of you, it will be asking your username and password, right? Is it the case? It's asking you your GitHub username and GitHub password for some of you. So please do provide your usernames and passwords. You can use a Control-Shift-V, I suppose, Kaustubh. Okay, so now once we have done this, then what can we see? If I refresh this page, what will happen? You see that all my 3 commits are now visible here, right? You can see that what I did in each individual commit also. Okay. Yes, Shashank, you actually have to basically give your username and password. So basically just type it, just don't paste it. Like if it is asking your username, just give your username, type it. For password also you type it, it might not be visible for you. Okay. Anna is saying, can you please repeat the last few steps? Okay. Let me just go over it. Fine. So first of all, how many of you are able to successfully push your code to the GitHub? Those of you who have done it, can you please share your repository links here? Can you please share your repository links right away here in the chat? So that we all can see what progress all of you are doing. Okay, awesome. Sudarshan is the first one to go. Okay, I will repeat the last few steps. No issues, no issues. Just give me 1 minute. It's not asking any credits, directly showing permission denied. Okay, in case it is showing permission denied, Shashank, what you can do is you can simply say that sudo git push, but I'm not sure is that required. I'm not sure. I haven't come across this issue earlier. So just give this a try if permission denied is coming. Awesome. So I will just repeat the last few steps. So now see, once we created the repository, I will write them down so that you understand. First step is to simply tell the server location. So for that, what we are doing is git remote add origin and then the URL. Okay. So now see, this origin is nothing but the name of this server that we are giving. Okay. So why it is needed? Because generally you could have multiple servers where you want to store the copy of your repository. Okay. So remote is basically, you can think it like it's a remote server. Okay. And now second is you want to simply push the code to the GitHub repo. So what you do, git push. So the first time what you have to do, the first time you simply have to say -u origin master, or you can say git push set upstream origin master. So both of these things I suppose are the same. It simply means that, can you all hear me? Am I audible to all of you? Just give me a moment. Okay. So I will just take a look at your queries. Just give me 1 minute. So in the second step, what we did is we simply have said that we want to take a local master branch. Okay. Send it to the origin server. So the origin was just a name given. So this we are calling it as upstream, because we want to send it to the server. Okay. So now from the next time you do not need to set this branch. From next time you can simply do git push. Okay. It has simply understood that you want to push to the master branch, right? This branch thing will be clear in little more time when we will be dealing with it more often. Okay. Okay. So yeah, exactly. Naman get remote add origin. What is -u? It's actually the upstream name. You are specifying that this remote is your upstream. This origin is your upstream. Okay. It might be a little confusing. That's why just uh, understand that basically just understand these two commands, and as you as we will use it often, we will get to know exactly why it's happening. Okay. Although the intuition remains the same, that we want to specify the location of the server, right? And we want to specify the branch. So there are just two things that we want to specify. From next time, we can simply directly do the git push always. So let me just show you once again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just clear it. Let us say that we go to the repository. We also learn one more thing now. Let's say that let's see one more thing in Python. So let's say that we want to have print. So there is one more concept in Python, that is f strings. Okay. So here what you do is, here you can simply say, let's say you want to print value of a is, and here you can simply inside this curly braces give the variable name. So it's like in C++ you will be doing value of a is, and then giving a space and then a. So like this you will be doing in C++, right? Equivalent C++ code. So in Python, these f strings allow you to create these formatted strings, and you can pass the variable name and directly inside the string double quotes. Okay, just you have to use the curly braces for the variable name. Okay, I will just increase the font size. Awesome. So I think it's visible now to all of you. You all could have told me earlier about this. Sorry, if I missed it. Okay. So now let's just try to run this Python program. Okay, it says value of a is 3, and now let's do git status. Okay, it says it's modified. Let's do git add. So we are trying to follow the same steps. Now what is the next thing we have to do? We have to say git commit, and then let's add a message, use fstring. Okay, now we want to push it. So let's just say git push. From the next time we do not specify the upstream. Now it's set to the master branch of the server. Okay, so now you can simply see that it's available on our repository. So is this clear to all of you now, that how it's happening? What are the steps that we have to follow? Okay, I will take up the doubts now. All of you please try to try to follow these steps once, and take your time, and then we will take up any doubts you have. So Alok, please try running this command once, Alok. So please make sure that the user email that you have specified is the same as that on your GitHub. We can see through it. Please send me a DM on Scalar chat if Alok it does not get resolved. Please do ask questions, everybody. Okay, I am answering the questions now. Naman is saying that git remote add origin is giving you some issues. Just give me one moment. Just one moment. I'll just open the chat in a different window. Okay. Fine. I suppose I can see the questions. So basically git remote add origin this program command not found. Okay. So please make sure that Naman, the URL you are giving is correct. If you still face issues, you could DM me on Scalar chat. I will try to resolve you over here. Anybody else facing issues? Okay, Gunjan is saying that I added wrong repository link. Okay. Then what you could do is simply you could specify another version. So you can, for the time being, you can specify add origin 2. And then in the git push also you give the same one. Okay. I hope that will work for now, Gunjan. Okay. We'll see about updating later. Shishti is saying git. I'm just taking over the doubts. Others, please try to make sure you are able to follow till this point. Run through these steps. Python program does not appear to be a Git repository. You must not have given the URL location properly. Shrishti, please do check. Okay. Sean, while running, it's showing permission denied. Please make sure you are typing the correct username and password, Sean. And so I think all of the questions are answered. I'll just go to the chat. Awesome. So every time I push, it asks for username. Yes, Nitin, that is a very good question. So Nitin, for that, I will be adding a reference for the credential helper. I will be adding a reference. So you can just read through it. And if needed, I will also make a video tutorial on that, right? to specify how you can actually save your usernames and password. Just try exploring on this, right? So there is a lot to cover here, but you do not use that many things daily in your daily workflow when you start development. So these are the 4 things that you will be using. And there is one more command that comes in that we'll be seeing later. It's the git pull command. So when a lot of people are working, what happens is they make changes. There are different branches. Then you also have to pull the changes. So this we will be covering later in later sessions. Okay. Fine. So I hope till this point it makes sense. Govinda, I tried running this Python and it says, okay, you are trying to run this Python code. It's giving you some errors. So make sure that you have set the correct, you have the correct Python installation. Okay. Permission denied, it says. Kaustubh, that is a good question. We'll see that in some time. That's not required right now. Okay. Fine. So please, Govinda, please see once. I think if you have some permission issues, make sure you are running your command prompt in Windows correctly. Okay. Yeah, I'll just show this code. So basically, you did not log out of this GitHub account. It will happen automatically. Like this password is not saved, right? It gets logged out automatically unless you are saving it using some credential helper. That's not required right now. Okay. So those of you who are facing some issues, please do one thing. You all can stay back at the end and we will discuss. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeat this workflow once, what all we have done till this point. Okay. So I'll just repeat what all is the things you need to remember, right? There are a lot that we have discussed. Ayan, if you want to leave, you can, but I just wanted to cover a little bit of more Python. Okay. So just give me a heads up if we can take 20 more minutes. Are you interested in learning a little bit more of Python? Just some interesting things. Little bit more of Python. I will not go into too much detail. And just a recap and little bit more Python. All of you who are okay with just 10-15 more minutes, please do react with a yes. Okay. So it's a tie. Let's just discuss for 15 more minutes, right? After 15 minutes, you all can just go to sleep or like you can stay back if you will have any doubts after 15 minutes. Till 15 minutes, please, let's just do a brief recap so that you do not face any issues later. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to recap some things for you. So we just started by doing git init. Okay. If you please stop typing any commands, just listen now. Okay. So that you just summarize the things and next time you don't face any issues. So next command was git add. So first we simply start a repository, start a project, git project. Then with git add, we simply basically put the files to tracking, right? So we simply move files to be committed to staging area. Third thing was git commit, -m and the commit message. Okay. The fourth thing that we discussed was git log to check what commits have been made. Then we also discussed slightly about git diff. So these things I'm just erasing for now because these might not be involved in your daily workflow. when you will start with the project. Okay. Then we discussed about the git push, which actually allows us to push our code to the GitHub. Okay. And finally, what we have just discussed, apart from git push, one more thing, that was git remote add origin. This part, right? So this part also I will not mention it. So this is the in summary that we have discussed today. In summary, about basic Git and GitHub and why the things are happening the way they are happening. Like what all information we needed. We just started from understanding what version control is and what all do we need. Okay. So how many of you are crystal clear with what all we have discussed today? Yes, Kaustubh, that can happen by git add dot. Git add dot will push everything. Sorry, will add everything to the staging area. Okay, awesome. Fine. So now I will just extend 10 more minutes so that we can just go over the basic part of some Python programs. So I just related few things. This is equivalent to cout hello world. Okay. The print statement that we have discussed. Now, the next thing that we will be discussing is there are the operators that are very much same, that is less than, greater than, less than, equal to check two numbers or to just compare. So we have a whole lot of operators that are almost similar, but there is one new operator that you might not have seen. So this actually simply prints the square of a given number, right? So like you have power of a comma 2 in C++. Similarly, here what you can do is you can simply say a into 2. That will print a square, right? So let me just try to run this command, run this Python program. So to check your Python version, you can simply say Python -version. Okay. And then you can simply say Python 3 hello world.py. You can see that a square is 49. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. This is one new thing in Python that's not there in C++. Then we have similar things like and or not. So in C++, you can check whether the two conditions are true or false. Okay, so let's say that A is 17, B is 15. So let's say you want to check if A is greater than B, and you also want to check if A is actually greater than C also. Let's take one more number. So you can simply have A and this A greater than B as one condition and A greater than C as other. You can combine these two statements. So that's how the logical and or not operators look like. So these are the relational operators, and we have these as the logical operators, and or not. We are just deviating a bit. So just to cover very basic of Python. From next session, we'll deep dive into it. Okay. Then here we can simply say, let's say that we want the maximum. Okay, we can simply say that maximum is equal to A. Let's say that we initialize maximum as -1. And I just want to print this maximum value. Okay. So one thing you did notice is in C++ or any other language like Java, what you have is in Python, the comments are with hash. In C++, the comments are with this. Comments are with hyphen. Yeah, forward arrow 2 times. Okay. So what we can do now is in C++, if you have noticed, it's something written like this. So you there give the code inside this curly braces block. right? Yeah, you can also use and there, but there is this curly braces block, right? You put the curly braces yourself, but in Python the indentation actually is strictly required. Yeah, indentation is strictly required in Python. Okay, so basically I'll not go more than, so just let's do one more thing, and we also have a else here. Then you can simply say that, let's say maximum is equal to b. This might not be correct logically, just I'm showing you how you can use if else. Okay, yeah, it's not and, it's just and. In Python we just have and, or, and not. Okay, yeah, as I've written above. Okay, fine. So that's how if else looks like. And if you see the loops are also very much similar. Okay, so the loops are also very much similar. There is nothing much difference. Like you have while loops, so you can say that a counter is 0, and while this counter is less than 10, you can simply say print counter and counter plus equal to 1. Okay, so after every kind of condition you have to write this colon. So this colon will actually indent the next piece into 2 spaces or 4 spaces. Generally 4 spaces we use. So that's how the while loop looks like. For loops are a little tricky because there you have to have the range operator sometimes. So for loops will start in next session. I'll not go into that. Let's just run till this point. Okay, so you see that all the variables from 0 to 9 have been printed. So are you all clear with some very basics of Python, that how indentation is there, how basically you can print things, how you can comment, and how you can initialize the variables? Okay, so it seems like all of you are clear with some very basics. We'll build upon this in the next session. Okay, so with this, like, we just stop at this point. All of you, please make sure you try to explore one more thing. Okay, try to just explore a little bit about branches, creating new branches, and about pull requests. So we will be explaining it to you in detail, so that's not an issue. Just try to explore. So this is your homework to explore. Since we do not have a large enough assignment for you. Okay. So yeah, colon simply means that you are starting a new block. It's like this curly brace in C++. Like this curly brace in C++, where you start a block. Similarly, you start a block by giving a colon somewhere. Okay. So I'll just start the Q&A. Yes, Siddharth, I will upload the notes. Okay. Do not worry. I'm just starting the doubt session. I hope all of you found this session useful. Like those of you who already knew Git, at least you understand the conceptual intuition behind some of the things. Okay. So I've started the doubt session. In case anybody wants to leave, you can leave the session. In case somebody is facing any issues, you could stay back and I will try to answer them. And I also try to answer the pending questions that were there. So some of you were curious and you asked some things that are not to be covered yet. Okay. Fine. So just give me one moment. I'll see if anything is remaining. Okay. So I'll take up the questions. So anybody has any questions, please type in the questions tab. So the most voted question was how to cancel a commit. Pragnya was asking how to cancel a commit. So we will be explaining that to you. There is a command for that. I will just add it to your exploration for now. So you have this git reset command to basically cancel the last commit or any particular commit. Here you can say that I'll just write the command for you for now. You can explore this. If it's not clear, we will discuss, and anyways we'll be covering it, so there is nothing to worry. Okay. Single dash and double dash we used for online, one line and p. So that also is one thing. Single, like you use git log one line, and at times you are using git log p. So there is a difference between these two. I will also not try to answer it right away. Okay. Just try to explore a little bit on this. Because as a developer, a lot of things are there that you have to explore, right? We cannot, there is so much of depth, we cannot go into each and everything. So just have this curiosity inside yourself also to search for some things, right? Yeah, Samvit is asking how to change a commit message. So there is another command, git commit amend. So this allows us to change the commit, last commit message. Next command after git commit to see a GitHub repo. Okay, Adarsh, I already answered that. How to write code in Python, Athar answered. Why is it that hello world file not opening? That was answered. Can we edit BJ? That's just answered right now. Yes. Why use get reset soft? Okay, so Ayan, that's the same thing. That you use this to actually, like in this case, it's used to remove the last commit. Okay. So we will learn about this command in little more detail, but let's skip this. It's not required in our daily workflow. Okay. How to undo or commit? Okay. Okay. So that's also answered. Fine. Anybody has any more questions that we can take up? Okay. Alok, you are getting permission denied. Okay. Okay. Fine. Just give me one more minute. Anybody else has any issues? Seems like all of you are done with most of these things. So basically, can you please explain your issue, Alok? Let me stop sharing my screen. Just give me one moment. So maybe what we will do, Alok, is you will send it to me on Scalar Chat DM. I will respond to you over there. So let's not waste the time of others. So if anybody has any conceptual doubt or any doubt in any command, please ask that right now. Alok, I'll get back to you maybe. Or you can post in any of the groups so that your peers can also try to help you. Yeah, .git file is the part, Abhijit, that contains all the things that are happening underneath. Viraj, we will be sharing with you the video solutions for those shell scripting problems, so do not worry. Anybody has any questions, please do ask, don't hesitate. Even if that has been answered 10 times, I will answer that again. Yes, Abhijit, sure, go ahead. Abhijit is saying why staging area is required. Why can't we just commit to the repository? So you want to tell now that these are the files that we will need to actually add. We will need to commit these many files, right? So git add, what it does is it just takes those files right? They could have been tracked earlier, they could have been in a repository, they could have been new files, right? Yeah, it is already on workspace. Now you, yeah, now you just want to tell Git that please add these files in the current commit. Okay. So in the commit, you, before committing, you need to know these many files are to be added. These many files are to be pushed. So that's why you need to specify them using the git add command, right? Okay, perfect. Perfect, Abhijit. Karthik is saying, what is API? That's an out of the box question. What is API? We'll understand it, Karthik, in the Django sessions. Do not worry. Awesome. So it looks like there are no further doubts. Git log. What is the issue you have? Yes, Sambit, we are starting Python from the very basic. Today we just discussed some of the very initial steps, right? Initial things, operators and just conditionals, right? We compared it with C++. From the next session also, we will be doing some very basic stuff, okay? And as and when we will be using some complicated things in Django, we will try to cover them. It was the colon in Python, Karthik, to treat the next one as a block. So to end it, you just go to a new line. So let me just show you my code again. Yeah, Abhijit, the git log command would show all the commits by all the users, right? It just doesn't show only one user, it shows all the users. So if you see, like in this while loop, we have just ended our loop. So I can just hit a backspace. Now if I just print the counter here, right? So what will happen? Let's just print the new counter. Okay. We are just trying to print the new counter. And let's just do the Python 3 hello world.py. Now you can see that new counter is 10. So to end the block, you can just go to the previous indentation, right? So here everything is indented. So blocks are actually indented in Python. Okay. Okay, Gurleen is saying that she's getting a warning. Permission denied. Permanently added the RSA host. Uh, could not read from remote repository. Please make sure you have the correct right access. Okay. Are you typing the username and password over here? So Alok, you were also getting the same issue. Any uh, updates? Okay, no. So I would suggest both of you please do send me your screenshots of the exact issues you are facing. Okay. If you could just send me a screenshot on Scalar chat, I would just try to help you. Okay. Alok and Gurleen. Okay. Fine, fine. Okay. Anybody else has any issues, otherwise we can call it a day. And please try all these things that we have discussed in the 2 sessions. Otherwise you will forget a lot of this stuff. We will be using only a subset of this in the next few sessions, like in the main sessions. Not everything gets used. Okay. Fine. So I think let's call it a day. If you have any queries, feel free to reach out me or Rahul, anybody of us in the Scalar chat. Feel free to message me or Rahul. We both will be there to help you out. Okay. And also you can ask your questions in the groups also. Yes, we will be developing a project in this dev session, Alok. That is our main aim, to develop a good project, right? Okay, so let's end the session now. Then I hope you learned something new. Okay. Abhijit, no, we won't be going into that much detail into JS. Yeah, exactly. We'll learn whatever is sufficient. Okay, fine. So all of you take care. Bye bye. Good night. Bye bye. See you next time.